Did you notice something strange happening in wrestling? For years, AEW was the place WWE stars ran to. They wanted freedom. They wanted better matches. They wanted to escape the machine. But now, AEW stars are walking right back into WWE. And not random names either. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Penta, and 6 more. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And the crazy part is, some of them walked into WWE and became bigger stars almost instantly. Others? They walked in and realized WWE is not a magic button. Because leaving AEW doesn't automatically fix your career. Sometimes it saves you. Sometimes it exposes you. And sometimes it proves the problem was never the company. It was you. So today, we're breaking down every major AEW star who jumped to WWE, why they really left, what backstage politics were involved, and the biggest question of all, did WWE actually make them better? Or did they just trade one problem for another? Now listen, this is not one of those lazy AEW bad, WWE good videos. Nah, that's too easy. AEW and WWE are two completely different worlds. AEW is freedom, long matches, creative control, work rate, bangers, blood, chaos, crowds that care more about wrestling itself. WWE is different. WWE is structure, presentation, camera angles, character packages, promos, entrances, stories that are built for casual fans, not just hardcore fans. And that's where this gets interesting. Because some wrestlers need freedom, but some wrestlers, they need the machine. They need someone to tell them, stand here, say this, hit your move here, pause here, let the crowd react. That's not a bad thing. That's wrestling psychology. That's how you turn a talented performer into a superstar. So let's start with the man who changed the entire conversation. Cody Rhodes was not just an AEW wrestler. He was AEW, one of the founders, one of the EVPs, one of the faces of the entire movement. So when Cody left AEW and walked back into WWE at WrestleMania, bro, that wasn't just a return. That was a warning shot. Because Cody proved something nobody wanted to admit yet. You could leave WWE, rebuild yourself somewhere else, and come back bigger than before. But why did Cody leave AEW? Simple. He got trapped inside his own story. Remember that promise? He said he would never challenge for the AEW World Championship. At first, that sounded noble, like, I'm not going to abuse my power. But long term, that promise became a prison. Because how do you stay a main event babyface if you can never chase the main title? Then the AEW crowd started turning. They wanted Cody to become a heel. Cody refused, and that's when things got weird. He was acting like a heroic babyface, but the crowd was booing him like a villain. That's dangerous, because when the audience and the character are not on the same page, the whole thing starts falling apart. Then WWE brought him back. Same music, same suit, same American Nightmare character. But WWE presented him differently. They made him feel massive. The pyro, the entrance, the Dusty Rhodes emotion, the whole finish the story mission. WWE didn't reinvent Cody. They just gave him the stage AEW could no longer give him. So did his career improve? Come on, massively. Cody didn't just win the jump. He became the example everyone else started looking at. Now CM Punk, this one is messy. And you know it's messy because anytime Punk's name comes up, half the internet starts fighting like it's a backstage brawl. When Punk came to AEW in 2021, it felt emotional. It felt like wrestling got something back. The crowd was crying, Punk was crying, the fans were chanting like they had waited 7 years to breathe again. And for a while, It worked. Punk still had the promo magic. He still had the star aura. He still understood how to make every line feel personal. But then came the politics, the tension, the rumors, the media scrum, the fights, the locker room drama. And once real-life heat enters the locker room, that is a different animal. Kayfabe heat makes money. Real heat breaks trust. By the end of Punk's AEW run, it felt less like a comeback story and more like a ticking time bomb. So when he returned to WWE at Survivor Series, man, that was insane. Because WWE was the company Punk said he was done with. The bridge looked burned. Not damaged, burned. But WWE did what WWE does best. They turned controversy into television. They took the most complicated man in modern wrestling and made him feel like the biggest story in the room again. So did WWE improve Punk? In presentation? Yes. In aura? Absolutely. But physically and politically? That question never fully goes away. CM Punk is still CM Punk. Brilliant on the mic, dangerous in a feud, but always one sentence away from making the whole wrestling world stop and say, "Oh no, what happened now?" Jade Cargill is different. Because Jade didn't leave AEW because she failed. She left because she hit a ceiling. In AEW, Jade looked like a superstar from day one. The body, the confidence, the entrance, the presence. She looked like money. But let's be honest here. Her in-ring game was still developing. The work rate wasn't fully there yet. The selling needed polish. The timing needed polish. The match structure needed polish. And that's not an insult. That's just the truth. AEW protected her with an undefeated streak, and it worked for a while. But eventually, protection can become limitation. You can only squash people for so long before fans start asking, okay, but what happens when she has to carry a real story in the ring? That's why WWE made sense. Because WWE knows how to package someone like Jade. They know how to shoot her. They know how to present her. They know how to make her entrance feel like a movie trailer. And most importantly, they have the performance center. That's where Jade can learn the small things. Where to pause, when to sell, how to time a comeback, how to let a crowd breathe before the big spot. So did WWE improve Jade? Presentation-wise, yes, absolutely. But in ring, that's still the test. Because Jade has the look of a world champion. Now she has to develop the instincts of one. Penta is one of those wrestlers who never needed permission to be cool. He just is. The mask, the swagger, the hand gesture, the way he moves like he might break your arm and then pose for the camera. In AEW, Penta was loved. The Lucha Brothers had incredible matches. Their work rate was insane. Their tag team chemistry was special. But here's the problem. In AEW, Penta felt respected, but not always pushed like a single superstar. And that's the difference. Respect is nice, but spotlight is better. WWE gave Penta something bigger, a global stage, a chance to become a mainstream masked star. But WWE also creates a new risk, because WWE sometimes gets lucha right, and sometimes they make every masked wrestler feel the same. Penta cannot become generic. He cannot just be the guy who does cool moves. He needs danger. He needs attitude. He needs that little bit of darkness. Because the best version of Penta is not just a high flyer. The best version of Penta feels like a problem. So did WWE improve him? So far, exposure-wise, yes. But the real question is, will WWE let Penta stay Penta? Or will they sand off the edge that made him special? That's the thing to watch. If Penta is danger, Rey Fenix is magic. This guy wrestles like gravity personally owes him money. Every time Phoenix hits the ropes, you feel like something insane is about to happen. In AEW, he gave fans some of the wildest sequences you'll ever see. Smooth, fast, explosive, ridiculous balance. But Phoenix had the same issue as Penta. Amazing matches, but inconsistent direction. The Lucha Brothers were respected, but they weren't always centered. And when you are that talented, eventually you ask yourself, am I here to have good matches, or am I here to become bigger? WWE gives Phoenix a bigger platform, but it also gives him a different challenge. Because in WWE, you can't just be spectacular. You need story. You need character. You need a reason for fans to care before the bell rings. Phoenix can make people gasp. That's easy for him. But can WWE make people emotionally invest in him? That's the key. So did WWE improve him? In exposure, yes. In presentation, probably yes. But creatively, too early. Because Rey Fenix doesn't need to be just another cruiserweight-style attraction. He needs to be treated like a special effect in human form. Every time he appears, something impossible should happen. Now, Ricky Saints, formerly Ricky Starks, this one annoys me. Not because he left AEW, because AEW had this guy. They had him. The look, the promo, the confidence, the swagger. Ricky Starks walked like he already knew the camera loved him. And that matters, because some wrestlers have to learn presence. Ricky had it naturally. In AEW, he had moments. The FTW title, the MJF feud, the tag team with Big Bill, but then he just kind of disappeared. And that's the worst thing you can do to a guy like Ricky. Because Ricky is momentum-based. He needs TV time. He needs a microphone. He needs to be in front of people every week. If you take him off TV for too long, you cool him down. And cooling down charisma is a crime. Then he comes to WWE as Ricky Saints, and almost instantly, NXT treats him like a big deal. That says a lot, because WWE looked at him and saw something AEW never fully cashed in on: a complete TV performer. Not just a good wrestler, a personality. So did WWE improve Ricky? Yes, at least so far. Because WWE gave him the one thing AEW stopped giving him: focus. And sometimes focus is all a talented wrestler needs. Ethan Page is a great example of a guy who wasn't bad in AEW. He was just never the priority. And that might be worse. Because if you are bad, at least you know the problem. But when you are good, when you can talk, when you can work, when you can get heat, and still nothing fully happens, that messes with you. In AEW, Ethan Page was always almost there. Almost important. Almost breaking out. Almost in the right story. Almost getting the big push. And almost is dangerous in wrestling. Because fans start seeing you as a background character. Not because you lack talent, but because the company trained them not to expect much from you. Then Ethan Page goes to NXT, and boom, WWE gives him importance fast. They let him talk. They let him be arrogant. They let him be annoying. They let him be exactly what a heel like Ethan Page should be. Because Ethan is not supposed to be the coolest guy in the room. He's supposed to be the guy you want to see get punched. That is heat. Real useful heel heat. So did WWE improve him? Yes. Not because he suddenly became a bigger athlete, but because WWE understood his role better. Ethan Page doesn't need to be flashy. He needs to be hateable. And in NXT, that worked. Miro's AEW run started like money. The Redeemer gimmick? That was strong. The promos were intense. The look was dangerous. The TNT title run had aura. For a while, it felt like AEW had finally unlocked the monster WWE never fully committed to. But then, he vanished. Not completely, but enough. And that's the thing with momentum. You don't have to disappear forever to lose momentum. You just have to disappear long enough for the audience to stop expecting you. That's what happened with Miro. Fans went from saying, "This guy is a killer," to saying, "Wait, where is he?" And once fans are asking where you are more than what you're doing, you're already losing oxygen. So Rusev returning to WWE made sense. Because Rusev doesn't need complicated booking. He needs a fight. Put him in the ring. Let him destroy people. Let the crowd chant. Let him look like a brute. That's the formula. So did WWE improve him? Not fully yet. The return gave him visibility, but visibility is not enough. Rusev needs a real feud, a real enemy, a real reason to be angry. Because when Rusev has purpose, he gets over. We've seen it before. Rusev Day became huge because the crowd believed in it. So WWE has the pieces. Now they need to actually use them. Aleister Black is frustrating. Because this man has everything. The entrance, the look, the tattoos, the music, the black mass, the whole dark aura. You see him walk out and immediately think, this guy should matter. And in AEW, as Malachi Black, the beginning was strong. House of Black looked different. It felt cinematic. It felt dangerous. It felt like AEW had something unique. But over time, the character got cloudy. And that's the problem with mystery characters. Mystery is powerful until fans realize there may not be a clear destination. Then mystery becomes fog. Malachi Black had cool visuals, but he didn't always have clear direction. And in wrestling, direction matters more than aesthetics. You can have the best entrance in the world, but if nobody knows what you want, eventually the crowd stops leaning in. Then he returned to WWE as Aleister Black. And again, the presentation looked strong, but the same question followed him. What is the mission? Who is he hunting? What does he want? Why should the audience emotionally invest? So did WWE improve him? Honestly, not enough yet. Because Aleister Black doesn't need another cool entrance. He needs a story with teeth. He needs a feud where the darkness has a purpose. Otherwise, he stays what he has been too many times. One of the coolest wrestlers in the room, without the booking to match. Shawn Spears is not the biggest name on this list, but his story matters. Because not every AEW to WWE jump is about becoming world champion. Sometimes it's about purpose. In AEW, Shawn Spears had a good start. The chair shot to Cody gave him heat. The chairman character had something. His work with MJF gave him visibility. But after that, he faded. And sometimes that's not even about talent. Sometimes the roster is just too crowded. Sometimes creative moves on. Sometimes your role disappears before your contract does. So when Shawn Spears returned to NXT, it made sense. Because NXT can use a guy like him. He can work. He understands timing. He understands selling. He understands how to help younger talent look better. And that is valuable. Not every wrestler needs to be the face of the company. Some wrestlers become important because they make the system stronger. So, did WWE improve him? In star power? No. But in purpose? Yes. And at this stage of his career, that might be more important. Brian Pillman Jr. had one of the hardest jobs in wrestling, carrying a famous name. People think that's easy. It's not. Because every time you walk out, fans don't just watch you. They compare you. They compare your promos, your energy, your edge, your charisma. And when your father is Brian Pillman, that shadow is massive. In AEW, Pillman Jr. had potential. The Varsity Blondes had something. But potential is not a push. And eventually, it became clear AEW wasn't going to build around him. So he went to WWE. And WWE did the smartest thing possible. They changed him. Lexus King. New name, new look, new attitude, new identity. Because sometimes a wrestler doesn't need a better push. Sometimes he needs permission to stop being someone's son and start being himself. So did WWE improve him? Yes. Not because he became a megastar overnight, but because he finally got a character that belongs to him. And in wrestling, that is everything. You can have the last name, you can have the bloodline, you can have the story, but until fans know who you are, you're just a reference. Lexis King is trying to become more than that. And honestly, that's the right move. Now here's the part people don't want to admit. Jumping from AEW to WWE is not automatically an upgrade. It's a test. Because in wrestling, talent matters, but talent alone is not enough. You need timing, you need politics, you need presentation, you need heat, you need momentum. And most of all, you need a company that actually believes in you. Now I want to hear this from you. Who made the smartest jump from AEW to WWE? Was it Cody? Was it Punk? Was it Jade? Or is Ricky Saints the real answer? And who should have stayed exactly where they were? Drop your answer in the comments, because this debate, yeah, this one is going to get spicy.